Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. I am Simply G, and today I'm going to be talking about my first impressions on My Dress Up Darling. This is an ongoing series by Shinichi Fukuda, currently 6 volumes in Japan, published in Young Gangan magazine, and it has been running since 2018, but is currently being published in English by Square Enix USA with 2 volumes as of this video, with the next 2, so volume 3 and 4, solicited for the coming months. This is a high school romantic comedy with a bit of an ecchi spice to it, and is about 2 high school classmates, 15-year-old Gojo, who's sort of a not very popular, kind of shy and self-contained boy who has grown up with his grandfather, who is a doll maker. He's a sort of specialty artisan, and he loves doll making, he loves dolls, and he's hoping to follow in his grandfather's footsteps. And his very attractive, very popular classmate, Kitagawa, who is the girl on the front cover here, who obviously she has a lot of friends, she's very trendy, and she's also very personable, very open, and very very she likes to get along with a lot of people, but the two of them don't really have much interaction, mainly because Gojo doesn't think they have very much in common. He sees her as totally outside of his world, two people who will never interact, but he quickly discovers that she's quite a nerd. She doesn't hide it. She's very proud of her interests, but she loves sort of a lot of otaku things, especially anime and visual novel gaming. And she accidentally runs into Gojo at school in the home ec room, in the home ec department, because he's using the sewing machine there after the sewing machine at his home breaks. He's unable to keep making the doll clothes that he's so good at home, so he's there making doll clothes and enjoying himself, and she runs into him there because she was wanting to use the home ec room for her cosplay, because she's wanting to cosplay her favorite character from her currently favorite game, which is a super suggestive erotic with a lot of BDSM themes, and she's just in love with one of the characters. She thinks she's super cool, and she wants to cosplay her for the future and wants to make her cosplay from scratch, but she doesn't have the necessary sewing skills. She's definitely a beginner in cosplay and in sewing, and so she asks this guy if he will make this cosplay for her, and soon kind of forces a friendship with him, and he, not being that used to being approached by attractive girls, sort of just accepts and flails about mentally, not sure how to handle this, and it's about their friendship, and it's, despite the somewhat raunchy premise, our main female character, Kitagawa, is definitely very popular. She's a little bit, sexy. She knows she looks good, right? But she's also not super body shy. She doesn't really have any second doubts about, stripping down to get measurements and things like that. Meanwhile, poor Gojo is kind of not handling this as coolly and calmly as he'd hope. He is a 15-year-old teenage boy, totally understandable, especially when the attention of a very, very pretty girl is completely zeroed in on you. But he also doesn't want to make things weird or make things awkward between his new somewhat friend. Doesn't want to do anything to ruin this budding friendship and perhaps romantic relationship that the two of them have. It's actually really, really sweet. I didn't really know what to expect with this series. I hadn't really heard of it prior to it being licensed, but it sounded interesting. It sounded kind of fun, and in the subsequent months since it's been released, I'd heard lots of really good things about it. A lot of people had very positive opinions about it, and reading it myself, I really liked this one. Although, as I said, there are ecchi elements. We do see our female character in, you know, bathing suits, bikinis, and, you know, kind of not too many clothes on. It also doesn't feel super duper gross or super salacious. It doesn't feel it has a humorous and lighthearted kind of rom-com feel in a similar way to, for those who are familiar with it, Yamada's First Time, which is both a manga series and an anime, but we only ever got the anime in English-speaking countries, where that series, like that whole focus of that series is about a girl trying to lose her virginity, but ultimately it's a really sweet, heartwarming first love story. And there's that sort of element to this. Also, there's a lot of description and discussion about cosplay and the various elements of cosplay, and it's really wonderful seeing the friendship between these two characters blossom, to see these two characters bounce off of each other. Very different personalities, but also quite complementary to each other. When Gojo decides to play these erg games that, you know, his friend is really enjoying, that he's playing them, one, because she's like, you have to play them, they're actually really good, they're definitely, like, you'll definitely cry, it'll change your life, blah 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 blah. And he does it mainly, one, to make her happy, but also in order to get proper references for outfits, so he can better make a more accurate cosplay for her. And there's one scene where they're discussing the game just out in public, and they're talking about, you know, kind of pretty kinky, fetishy BDSM stuff that's happening in the game, and they're not really fazed about it. It's not so much about the sexual element, but everyone around them is like, oh my god, what are these teens talking about? Like, oh, kids grow up super quickly these days. And it's really funny. It's both of these characters are very likable. We haven't really met too many other characters yet, but I would expect that maybe we do in the future volumes. But even if we don't, the relationship and the chemistry that these two have is enough to really engage you, or at least for me it did. And yeah, the fan service element, if you know that that's going to be in the series, which I did, and which I think you should expect when we're talking about cosplay, it shouldn't, like, it doesn't feel super gross. It doesn't feel like our female character is being humiliated or just being shown off to be sexy, despite her playing or dressing up as a character in a humiliation kink BDSM erg. It's actually really, really lovely, and I do recommend this one. This is one of the first series that I've bought from Square Enix, but so far, really all of their titles that I've checked out so far have been really wonderful, and I have very high hopes for this publisher, this imprint. Definitely give it a shot if you like fun, lighthearted rom-com series and you don't mind a bit of fan service, a bit of ecchi. It's just really, really cute. So those were my thoughts on My Dress Up Darling by Shinichi Fukura. Let me know what you thought, whether you agree or totally disagree. Have you heard of this title before? I actually haven't gotten the second volume of this yet, but I am hoping to in the near future. It really surprised me in how much I enjoyed this. Not that I was going into it not wanting to like it, but sometimes we know that I have a complicated relationship with fan service sometimes, and it really didn't bother me nearly as much as some other examples I can think of does. If you if you want something sweet and something with quite a bit of heart despite the premise, or maybe because of the premise, be sure to check out my Dress Up Darling. But thank you guys so much for watching. I am Simply G as always. Catch me in the next video. Bye till then.